I got more books. These are books, most of them I haven't read before. So, actually, only one of them I've ever read before. So, I'm still going to show them to you because I'm super excited, and there are some in this pile I cannot wait to read. They are all brand new books published in like the last year or so, with the exception of like a couple. Okay? So, the first two that I'm actually super excited about, I'm going to show them together, are Michelle Obama's Becoming, which is her autobiography. And notice it's adapted for young readers. So that means it's shorter and easier to read than the original she published. I haven't read either version. So I'm going to be taking this home and I'm going to be reading this book very soon. And also Vice President Kamala Harris's book, The Truths We Hold. So this is about her upbringing and her, becoming a senator before she became vice president. So I'm pretty excited to read this too. Also a young reader's edition. So shorter and simpler than the original book. And I'm all for that, quite frankly, because I'm not a huge reader of nonfiction. I do like reading about people's lives. I like memoirs, but mostly I really like reading fiction. That's my favorite. All right. This one is The Awakening of Malcolm X, which was written actually by his daughter. This lady here is his daughter. And she wrote another book about when he was really, really young, super little, and it is in my school library also. So that one I've read. This, I think, is a sequel to that. So it was written also with Tiffany Jackson, who is a popular author among my class. Tiffany Jackson wrote Allegedly and Monday's Not Coming. So if you liked either of those books, you might like this one. So this one is more about kind of his later life, because Malcolm X, born Malcolm Little, went to prison. And I think that this starts with when he was in prison and he kind of had a spiritual awakening, and how he really, moved on to become one of the most famous civil rights activists of the 1960s. This one is called Everything Sad is Untrue, a True Story. I have not read this. I just keep seeing all over the internet from other English teachers that this book is supposed to be absolutely amazing. So this is fiction. And it says on the inside, the book blurb on the flap, it says, at the front of a middle school classroom in Oklahoma, a boy named Khosrow, whom everyone calls Daniel, stands trying to tell a story, his story, but no one believes a word he says. To them, he is a dark-skinned, hairy-armed boy with a big butt whose lunch smells funny, who makes things up and talks about poop too much. But Khosrow's stories, stretching back years and decades and centuries, are beautiful and terrifying from the moment he, his mother, and sister fled Iran in the middle of the night, stretching all the way back to family tales set in the jasmine-scented city of Isfahan. I have to figure out how to pronounce this, I'm sorry. Isfahan, it looks like. The palaces of semi-ancient kings and even the land of stories. We bounce between a school bus of kids armed with paperclip missiles and spitballs to the heroines and heroes of Khosrow's family's past who ate pastries that made them weep and touched carpets woven with precious gems. Actually, this sounds like magical realism. Magical realism is when they take magical elements and they mix them into a realistic story. So this is supposed to be super good. Brand new book. This is a memoir, again, by Ta-Nehisi Coates, called The Beautiful Struggle. He wrote a couple of books that I know of. I actually listened to one of them on tape. But this one says, as a child, Ta-Nehisi Coates was seen by his father, Paul, as too sensitive and lacking focus. Paul Coates was a Vietnam veteran who'd been part of the Black Panthers and was dedicated to reading and publishing the history of African civilization. When it came to his sons, he was committed to raising proud black men equipped to deal with a racist society during a turbulent period in the collapsing inner city of Baltimore where they lived. Coates details with candor the challenges of dealing with his tough love father, the influence of his mother, and the dynamics of his extended family, including his brother Big Bill, who was on a very different path than Ta-Nehisi. He also tells about his daily struggle at school and with girls, making this a timeless story to which many readers will relate. So I think we can all relate to having troubles with school and with people, like romantic situations. So this one is called The Beautiful Struggle. This is a graphic novel. It's called The Magic Fish. This also came highly recommended from other teachers. So see, it's a graphic novel with pretty pictures. This says, real life isn't a fairy tale. In fairy tales, prince falls in love with the princess, but Tien has a different story to tell. His parents are refugees struggling to learn English, and he doesn't know how to come out to them in Vietnamese. If he doesn't even have the right words, how can he know if his parents will accept him? So what it looks to me like is this is an LGBTQ book. And this boy is having a struggle with his parents, not just because he wants to come out to them, but also because there's cultural differences, because he's being raised American and they were raised in Vietnam. So, all right. I don't know where the magic fish comes into it, but we'll find out. This is called Maybe He Just Likes You by Barbara D. And this is basically one of my feminist books here. I haven't read it yet, but I do know a lot of girls, when we're little, especially, if boys pick on us, we're told, oh, well, maybe he just likes you. Mom, he pulled my hair and he punched me. Oh, he probably just likes you. Okay? We've all heard that. But this book is actually about how a girl keeps getting unwanted attention and hugs and touches, and she keeps reporting it, and she just keeps being told, oh, he just likes you. So this one could be triggering to people who have suffered from sexual harassment or sexual abuse, or it could be something that you just really, really relate to. So this is also really high on my list of the ones in this pile I want to read. This one is called American Moonshot, and it is about the space race, John F. Kennedy's space race to reach the moon before the Soviet Union, which we managed to reach the moon before the Soviet Union, but we didn't do a lot of other space things before the Soviet Union. So if you like to read about space and you like to read about, it has pictures. Look, there's a rocket. So if you like to read about space or the space race or the 1960s, this would be a book for you. This is the very first one I'm reading when I get home tonight. With Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. If you read The Poet X and you really liked that book, this is by the same author. This says, ever since she got pregnant freshman year, Amani Santiago's life has been about making the tough decisions, doing what has to be done for her daughter and her abuela. The one place she can let that all go is in the kitchen, where she adds a little something magical to everything she cooks, turning her food into straight-up goodness. Even though she dreams of working as a chef after she graduates, Imani knows that it's not worth her time to pursue the impossible. Despite the rules she's come to play by, once she starts cooking, her only choice is to let her balance catch free. So this is one that I can't wait to read because I love this woman's other work. Elizabeth Acevedo also does spoken word stuff. So if you get on YouTube and look up her name, this is how you spell it, Acevedo. She's got some great spoken word poetry. These last few are older, but they are things that I had to replace. Among the Impostors, which is part of the Hidden Children series by Margaret Patterson Haddix. This one just kind of walked away from my classroom a couple of years ago, or last year during COVID. It's about the Hitler Youth and what it was like to be a Hitler Youth and have to do, basically, have to be brainwashed by the Nazis as a child, because that's what they did. They took young kids in school and they just brainwashed the crap out of them, and that's part of how they planned to keep their Reich going. This one I have not read. This one's called Boots on the Ground, Story of Vietnam. So if you are interested in history or military stuff or war history, this is a great book about the Vietnam War. So this is nonfiction. And this is actually one of my favorite reads ever. This is on my like top 10 books that I think everybody should read. It's called Educated, and it is a memoir of a woman who grew up in a like really, really rural, really like off the grid area with parents who were super duper religious and didn't like believe in modern medical science or anything, like thought God would just fix everything, even a broken leg, for example. And it is so moving, so incredible. Like I couldn't even put it down. I stayed up all night to finish it. It's called Educated by Tara Westover. So this is not a young adult version, it's just the regular version, but I don't really think that matters in this case. I think that this is pretty accessible to most of my students. So if you are interested in any of these books, just let me know if you're in the building. I'm happy to let you borrow one. And if you are not in the building, maybe you can borrow it from the public library, or if you're ever in the building and you promise to bring it back at the end of the year, I am happy to let you read one. So I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.